fortunately, we have a way in kinesiology to actually test for hydration level. Now, how many of you have animals or pets? Okay, most people here. How is it that when you take your pet to the vet that they can tell whether the pet is dehydrated? What do they do? Who remembers? Sometimes they press on that. Yeah, that's right. They often will pick up the skin and check the skin turgor to see how elastic and how quickly the skin goes back. When you look at elderly people, often you can lift their skin and the skin just sort of stays there, right? Because they're very dehydrated. So that is one of the ways to check. And when we do muscle testing, which is the method that we're going to be learning in class today, we use as a biofeedback method from the body. We'll literally be checking hydration by tugging on, usually what we do is we check on by pulling on the hair at the base of the neck, which is literally stretching the skin. Of course, if you're working with someone who doesn't have any hair, then you can probably just go back to the skin on in between the thumb and the forefinger here. But usually we just give a tug under the nap of the hair here, which pulls the skin. And if the body is dehydrated, what will happen is a muscle that was previously locked upon manual muscle testing will show a stress response and literally unlock. And what that will tell you is that in the moment, the person is not sufficiently hydrated. Now, technically we cannot tell someone to take anything into their body, whether that's foods, vitamins, minerals, medications, or even water technically. So we can only educate people, and we would say to them, when we do muscle testing, in order to get the most optimal results, not to mention the fact that it's a healthy thing, but the nerve transmission, the energy transmission, is also dependent on optimal hydration. So it would actually make our results a lot more accurate and reliable if you were sufficiently hydrated in the moment. Would you care to have some water? So if you put it out there as a question and give them the choice, then they can either choose to have some or not. Now, the nice thing about muscle testing is you can actually muscle test and determine when the person is up to their optimal amount in the moment. As soon as the body has reached an optimal amount of hydration, when you go to tug on the hair, that muscle will lock and will not change response. So, I'd like to do a little demo if anyone's interested in being checked for hydration, how we can do that. Rachel, great. Would you like to come up? Okay. So I'm going to have you sit over here. Now, usually when I muscle test, I use a muscle called the anterior deltoid in front of the body here, but I'm going to have my back to people if I do that. So I think for purposes of demonstration only, I'm going to use the middle deltoid, which is out to here. And I'm going to ask you to just look straight ahead, and I'm going to apply pressure and hold. Okay? And do you feel that the muscle is holding pretty solidly? Could you all see that the muscle appear to hold? So now what I'm going to do is before I actually assess the hydration, I'm going to check to see what that muscle will look like when it changes response. And I'm going to do something to the muscle, if I may, and then retest it. Do you notice a difference in the response?
I did.
When you feel that change, it's okay to let it go.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. Because when I test, I actually don't apply a lot of pressure. I don't like to stress the muscle out. And hold again. Okay. Now, it may appear that I'm using more pressure when the arm goes down. And a lot of people feel that initially, but in fact I'm using the same amount of pressure. The difference is how the muscle responded. And what I simply did was I temporarily kind of tricked the muscle into weakening. And I'm going to teach you that in just a few minutes when I teach you how to do muscle testing. But I essentially push together on the belly of the muscle, which sends a message through the muscle spindle cell that the muscle's too tight, and so the reflex is to relax the muscle very quickly. Now, the reason I did that is because before we do muscle testing, we want to make sure that the muscle will actually respond to a stressor. If the muscle circuit is blocked and the muscle doesn't respond to a stressor, it won't respond to any stressor. And so we present it with a physical stressor temporarily just to see what that muscle will do. So Rachel's muscle's doing just great. We know that it can lock and that it can unlock. Now what we're going to do is check her for hydration. So if you would, tug on your hair and hold. And how does that feel?
Strong.
Pretty okay? Mm-hmm. Do it one more time.
Okay.
And hold. And strong. And have you had some water this morning?
I have.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she's not dehydrated. She's had some water. And the muscle didn't unlock because in the moment she's probably had enough to sufficiently hydrate her.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone here who maybe didn't drink as much water as they would have liked this morning and we can check them? Anybody? Okay. Michelle, come on up. This is a good thing. I like to have a class that has have done their homework here.
Don't get too excited yet.
Okay. All right.
Now, does she continue to pull as you're testing the muscle?
Okay.
Or is it a pull and then you
So the question was, when you're testing it, is it a pull and then test, or is it a continual pull while you're testing? It could be either way. If you're pulling it at the same time that you're testing it, then you know for sure you're getting the response of the skin stretch. If you're going to pull and let go, then you do need to test it within just a second or two afterwards. So it does have to be pretty soon afterwards in order for the body to still get that response. Thanks for the question. Michelle, is this arm okay? May I test it?
Yes.
I'd like for you to hold it there. Okay. See if you notice a difference when I push together on the muscle. Yeah, we had a difference there. Okay. And hold again. So you want to start off with the muscle locking to begin with. We're going to go over this when we talk about muscle testing. And then we want to make sure that the muscle circuit can give feedback, both positive and negative. And so that worked. So the next thing I'd like for you to do, Michelle, is to tug on your hair while I'm testing. And hold. And the muscle is starting to go down a little bit, isn't it? Now, I'm not going to push too hard. You may have seen demonstrations where people just really use a lot of heavy pressure, and I could do that, and it could go down just like that. But there's really no need to, because really what we're looking for is the difference. Is the muscle able to hold, or is there a stress response? Is there a give to it? So in the moment, it appears that you might be a little dehydrated.
Yeah. It was that coffee this morning.
Okay, it was the coffee.
I'll work on that.
All right.